Welcome to my channel, Knotty Gnome Crafts. My name is Sarah, and you can find me as Knotty Gnome on Instagram. And today is Friday, so I want to participate in the hashtag Fridaysews, which was started by Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room. Fridaysews is, if you're not familiar with it, is just videos where people join in and they talk about what's been going on during their week with sewing and life and other things. So I thought it was a lot of fun, and I thought I would be part of the Fridaysews family. So I just posted my first video this week, so I thought I would use today's Fridaysews to kind of do a little brief introduction for people who don't know me. I used to have a YouTube channel years ago that I primarily talked about knitting, but I do lots of crafts. I do sewing, knitting, sometimes spinning, cross stitch, those kinds of fiber crafts. I used to quilt. I haven't done a lot of those crafts in a number of years. Recently, I've really mostly been focused on sewing. I started sewing garments again in October of 2020, kind of in the thick of the pandemic, and I've really fallen in love with it again. I've been crafting for basically my entire adult life, so about 20 years or so, and one of the reasons why I am sewing mostly these days and less of the other crafts is because I do have some health issues with my hands. Basically last year around Christmas time, my right hand, like the fingers on my right hand swelled up like little sausages. And so I went to the doctor, and thankfully they did a lot of tests, and thankfully I don't have rheumatoid arthritis, which is what they thought I might have. But what they did say was that basically I have like soft tissue swelling from using my hands too much, and their remedy was sort of, yeah, whatever makes your hands swell up, do less of that. So unfortunately, I can't knit as much or do any of the more sort of repetitive tasks are really tough on my hands, which is very, very sad because knitting will always be my first love. I've been knitting the longest, I like it the most, but these days I can't really knit that much. Because these Fridaysews videos are a little bit chattier, I do think that I will probably share a little bit of my knitting towards the end of the video for anyone who's interested. Because my progress is so slow these days, I don't get a lot done. So I don't need to do like entire videos devoted to my knitting, because it's just like, look, I knit a few more rows this week. But if you're interested, I will be showing a little bit of knitting at the end of the video. Let's talk about what I worked on this week for sewing. So I finished a really big project. I did the Hampton jean jacket by Alina Design Company, and I'm super, super proud of it. And I actually have an entire video that's gonna go up on Monday, which is, I'm gonna post my full review. So if you are interested in seeing more details about my jacket, please consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you'll know when I post new videos. So I just realized that I forgot to tell you in the beginning what I was wearing. So outside of my window, it is snowing right now in April, and I live in Western New York, so this is not an uncommon thing, but it's still annoying. But anyway, because it's cold and rainy and like rain snowing today, I took the opportunity to wear one of my hand-knit sweaters, because hopefully this will be one of the last chances that I get to wear a sweater this season. This is the Cartography sweater by Tin Can Knits, and it's in an ebook whose name I can't remember right now, but I will try to link it in the description box. And I really like the sweater. I knit it in 2018, and I hopped on the balloon sleeve trend before it was even a thing. I actually modified the sleeves to make them a little bit fuller. And I made the sweater cropped, and it's a little bit longer in the back than it is in the front. Sorry, I'm so short I can't really show it to you properly, but it's knit in a worsted weight wool, and yeah, it's pretty warm and comfortable, and it's pretty. I really like it. Okay, so back to my sewing projects this week. So after I finished the jacket, I actually took a little bit of time off because it was so labor intensive. And so I started on today working on my niece's top. This is the Cold Shoulder Tunic by Ellie and Mack, and it comes in sizes 2T to 14. So it's a really big size range. And I did a little Zoom session with my niece, and she picked out this fabric from fabric.com. It's a cotton spandex jersey. And I'm making this size 12, I think, because just based off of what her measurements are. She's 9 years old, but she's very tall. And yeah, so one thing I wanted to note about this fabric, so I will try to link it on from fabric.com if it's still available, but fabric.com's descriptions are kind of wonky, I found. Like I'm pretty sure that the website said that the stretch percentage was like 10 to 15% or something like that. And the pattern said that you needed 50% stretch. And they even recommended like 50% stretch crosswise, and then they also wanted 4-way stretch. And the website did not say it was 4-way stretch. And so I was a little bit concerned that it wasn't going to be stretchy enough, but the content was like 95% cotton, 5% spandex. And I'm like, 5% spandex, that should be pretty stretchy. So I went ahead and ordered it. And when I got it in the mail, I tested it, and like it is plenty stretchy enough. It's definitely 50% stretch. So I really have no idea where they got that 15% stretch percentage from. But yeah, so if you just be careful if you order from fabric.com that the details that they post in their descriptions might not be accurate. So anyway, this is super, super cute. I almost never sew with cotton jersey because I normally use bamboo or rayon or something drapier and slinkier. And I just had forgotten that cotton is so much easier to work with. Like, why didn't anyone tell me? I really enjoyed sewing this up. I actually did most of this today, just in a few hours, and I'm almost done. All I have left is to put on the sleeve bands and then do the hems and like cover stitch the neckband, and I'll be finished. So it went together really smoothly, really quickly. The fabric didn't roll around and curl the way that rayon jersey always wants to do. So I really enjoyed this project. I have enough fabric left that I kind of want to make a matching skirt. What happened was I was Zooming with my niece and I asked her if she wanted me to sew her something, and she said that she did. And then she proceeded to like pull out this drawing of a dress that she wanted. And it was a cold shoulder dress with like a high-low hem. And I was kind of like, oh, like that's very specific. I wasn't expecting her to have such a firm idea of what she wanted, but it was really cute. So like I found the top, the cold shoulder top, but I couldn't find a dress. So I was kind of thinking that I could do like a matching top and skirt, because I did find a skirt that was a high-low hem also from Ellie and Mack. Or it might have been a dress, and I was just like, I could make it into a skirt, I forget. But I'll try to link the patterns in the description box. But anyway, so I bought enough fabric to make both things. So I think that I will probably finish this top and then sew a couple of other things and then go back to the skirt, and I'll make that too. So that kind of segues me into the next portion, which is what I'm going to do next week. So next week, I don't know if you guys do this or not, but when I thread my serger, it is like an ordeal. So I had just finished the jean jacket, so it was time to do knits. So I threaded it with white thread and like jersey needles for knits. So now I'm going to do like a group of knits so that I don't have to change out my serger thread or my needles, because it is such a pain in the neck every time I have to rethread my serger. So I'm going to do like a series of, I'm using white serger thread, and I'll just do like a series of knits that use white thread, just so I don't have to change my thread that often. So after I finish this top, I think I'm going to make the, what's it called? The Stellan tee by French Navy. And it's just, I just want a white crew neck t-shirt. And then I'm gonna make the Friday Pattern Company square neck top. I have some white and coral stripe cotton jersey that I want to use for that. So that's what I'm gonna concentrate on doing next week. The only other sewing related thing I had to share this week was that I oiled and cleaned my machines this morning. I don't know about you guys, but I know that in the manual it'll say something like you're supposed to oil it every 20 hours of sewing or something like that. There's no way I could ever keep track of my hours of sewing to know when it's time to oil. So I just do it on the first of the month. I kind of make it a regular thing so that I know that I'm supposed to clean and oil my machines. And that way, even though I probably do it a little bit less than I'm supposed to, at least I do it, you know, because if I didn't have a set schedule, I just would never do it. So let me know in the comments, how often do you guys clean and oil your machines? Because I'm guessing that most of you do it less than you should, like me. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go grab my knitting and just show you my progress on that real quick. Okay, so I have been working on this sweater from Vintage Knits. I had this book. This was actually one of the first knitting books that I ever bought, so I probably bought it in like 2003 or something. And I'm working on the cleverly named short sleeve, I don't even know if you can see this, short sleeve diamond stitch sweater. Just a very classic short sleeved cropped pullover with a little texture. I started this, I don't remember when I started it, but I think it was probably like November. And this actually was the pattern that made my hands swell up like sausages, so it makes me a little bit nervous to keep knitting it. I switched at some point to wooden needles instead of metal, and that helped. But basically, part of the problem is this is 2.75 millimeter needles. They're very small. And I'm using very thin fingering weight yarn. This is Jill Draper Makes Stuff. I have it in here. Sorry, I'm not very prepared. Jill Draper Makes Stuff Esopus in the Powder Puff colorway. No idea if she still sells this, or if it's available, or if she's even in business anymore. I've kind of been out of the loop with knitting stuff. But anyway, I had this in my stash for years, so I'm using it up. So this is the front piece, and I have divided, or I've bound off stitches for the underarms, and so I'm working on the top portion of the front. And I'm alternating, I'm using 3 skeins, and I'm alternating every row. So I'm doing the thing where you like knit to the end of the row and pick up the new strand and purl back to the row and pick up a new strand. So because you have 3 skeins, you can do that and you never like run out of yarn. I don't know if that makes any sense. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. Alternating 3 skeins. And then I already have, excuse me, I already have the back finished. And this is all ready for the 3 needle bind off. So I'm actually getting there, but this is taking me such a long time. Like basically my knitting routine is I can knit for about 15 to 20 minutes a day. And if I feel good, maybe I can do 2 of those sessions a day, but sometimes I can just do 1 or none. So definitely I'm not going to be doing any sort of knitting challenges or anything like that. It's just I knit when I can and I do what I can, and if I'm in pain, I don't do it. And that's what I need to do with knitting. So that's my progress for this week. Next week it'll probably look very similar. And what else? Oh, so I thought for my Fridaysews videos that every week I would just mention a sewing channel or a crafting channel on YouTube that I am enjoying and just kind of give them a shout out. So for my inaugural Fridaysews episode, this is for the knitters out there. I actually found out, I watched their episode yesterday, that Amanda, formerly of Knit Cute, and Kate, who had the Stitch Addiction podcast way back in the day, they have actually joined up and they have a new podcast together called Cozy Craft Club, and I will link it in the description box. And Amanda and Kate were just always some of my favorite knitting YouTubers, and I really missed their channels. I think I watched, even after I stopped watching knitting channels, because I just wasn't knitting that much, I still watched their posts. If they followed them on Instagram, and then like Amanda, I think, continued to post a little bit, and so I'd watch her videos. So I'm really excited that they've gotten together and they have a new podcast, because I always really enjoyed watching them. So Cozy Craft Club. So lastly, I think I'm just gonna throw out a podcast recommendation. I started listening to a new podcast this week, and it is brand new. I think there's only 1 episode, and it's called Crime Show. And the problem is I can't really give you too many details because I feel like I would give it away. But it's like your standard true crime podcast with like standalone stories. But the first episode was a really interesting story and kind of like twisty and turny and kind of not what you would expect. It wasn't super grisly or anything. But I just found it really interesting to listen to, and so if you like true crime podcasts, I would recommend checking it out, and I will try to post a link to that in the description bar as well. So thank you so much for tuning in to my first Fridaysews. If you like what you have watched on this channel, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.